Hello, if I own a business account with Trust Bank, how can I pay salaries to my employees to other banks?
Kindly send us an instruction through your corporate officer, that's your relationship manager. Send the instruction through a hard copy and we will kindly process for you. It is easy, it is simple. We will need few information from you. Each customer's name, the BBAN, and the bank it needs to be sent to. The BBAN should be complete and it should be in 18 digits. Please kindly forward this and then it will be processed the same day and all the funds will be credited in other banks as well. Thank you.
And if you'd like to advertise on the program, get in touch with Mr. Jibril Jassi on 699-0107 or 787-0107 or 924-2424. Mr. Emmanuel Joof is already in the studio. Now, the Gambia, like many other countries, continues to grapple with the consequences of mental health-related disorders as persons with mental health problems face discrimination, stigmatization, isolation, and exclusion in the society. Not much attention and priority are given to mental health in both the public and private sectors. There are limited support services, fewer trained professionals and service providers, and weak institutional setup for handling mental health-related issues. In light of this, the NHRC, the National Human Rights Commission, the Ministry of Health, Action Aid International, the Gambia, the World Health Organization, and UNICEF have come together to organize a two-day stakeholders dialogue on mental health rights in the Gambia, kicking off tomorrow at the Sir Dawda Kairaba Jawara International Conference Center. The keynote address is expected to be delivered by Vice President Mohamed B.S. Jallow. Well, such is the importance of the event to the National Human Rights Commission that its chairman, Emmanuel Joof, is here to talk about it, accompanied by NHRC Director of Programs and Human Resources, Ma'am Ndeban Job. Emmanuel, welcome back.
Thank you very much.
I call you Paps.
Yes.
Every time I call you Emmanuel, I'm sure...
You're not sure who you're talking
exactly.
about.
Exactly.
Yes.
And Ma'am Ndeban, we understand you're our niece. Welcome to Coffee Time with Peter Gomez.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gomez, for having me.
Very good. Yes. I'll make do with Uncle. All right.
Yes.
Okay.
Mental health.
Yes. So Uncle Peter, let's give him his title. Even the mug he's drinking his coffee from is written Uncle Peter.
Even the president calls me Uncle Peter.
So Uncle Peter,
mental health. Why is it a human right?
Uncle Peter, we're happy to be here. In fact, mental health is a human right. The right to health is a fundamental right, and the right to health encompasses physical and mental health. And as an institution, since our establishment, we look at all kinds of rights, civil, political rights, of course, economic, social rights. Right to health is a fundamental right. And as early as our establishment, we started doing a mapping. We went to Tanka to find out issues relating to mental health. And Peter, I must tell you, it was a can of worms that we opened up. Because if we're talking about right to health, mental health is one of those that is really neglected completely, both from the policy side, from the legal side. Even can you imagine, we even have an act called the Lunatic Act. Okay. That was enacted in 1917 and then amended in 1964. We don't have... The only psychiatric hospital we have in this country is Tanka. Yeah. I don't know whether you have ever been to Tanka.
I have been.
Yes,
but a long while back.
A long while back, yeah. But again, if you go to Tanka, you can know that place is ill-equipped in every sense of the word, human resource, material, the services. And of course, the awareness, Peter, about mental health. Just allow me to, for example, to give you some figures.
Absolutely.
Well, to start with, the WHO says that globally, we have, for every 4 people you see, either they have experienced or they experience, one of them is experiencing a neurological or mental health. So among the 4 of us who are here, with your cameraman, one of us has a mental health. I don't know who the person is, but it just tells you how
I know I have a cold.
So, and then Peter, let me even come down to basics. In the Gambia, it is estimated that 27,000 people suffer from severe mental health or no substance abuse, what is induced by substance abuse. 27,000.
Yeah.
And it's not finished. 91,000 individuals are living with mild mental health challenges that still require treatment. Do we have the facilities? No. Do we even know that this exists? You will be very surprised. The NHRC, during that period in which we were doing, we finally came out with a study, an advisory note. This is one of the things that we do. We do research on the area. We discovered that there are some places today in the Gambia, especially when we started working with, it's called Peace of Mind, with Dr. Sylvia Lonrezo. Do you know that there are places here in the Lamins, in our neighborhoods, where people who have mental issues are actually chained and kept?
Yeah.
It's really amazing. Yeah. And what is done? Nothing much. So we just really felt this is a fundamental. And today, as I talk to you, the Gambia has ratified a lot of conventions and treaties which talks about mental health as a fundamental human right. We have ratified them, but what are we doing as a state? Because it is the duty of the state to respect, protect, and fulfill. That is not being done. So what do we need to do? As an institution which is the body that has been mandated to advise the government on everything relating to human rights, we said, listen, we need to have a serious engagement. We need to create a platform, a medium, where we raise the awareness of everybody. We bring mental health experts, civil society, the government, so that we'll tackle this scourge. It's there. And Peter, this is now compounded by the fact that if you go around, you see our youths. Kush is in town. You just drive around, and if we're not doing something about it, we will have an explosion. There will be a problem in this country. There's already a problem, and this is what we want to. Nico Olafide
okay.
You have to do an awareness raising.
Absolutely.
Look at the policies, look at the laws, and so that we can have a takeoff.
Absolutely.
Sorry, but
absolutely. But tell me more about, as programs director, tell me more about what the NHRC has done in the area of mental health.
Thank you very much, Uncle Peter. I think the chair has given a very good synopsis of our work on mental health.
Nobody should accompany him to any debate or radio program, because he'll end up just,
Definitely.
Talking you out of the conversation. Yeah.
I think the NHRC is very much concerned about mental health rights in the Gambia and the protection of mental health. Because as a human rights institution, we came into being in 2019. But way before that, the Gambia, through the African Commission on Human and People's Rights, the government was found to have been violating the rights of persons who have mental health issues, because the lunatic...
Is it by calling... I was going to say, is it by calling them lunatic? Because if the document by which informed their actions was calling people with mental health lunatic...
Exactly. And this was in the early 2000s that the African Commission said that the government should amend the Lunatic Detention Act, of this, which was enacted way back in...
It was even a detention act.
Exactly. This was what gave rise to Kampama. And following the African Commission, we saw changes through the closure of Kampama and now Tanka Tanka. But there is a need for the decision of the African Commission to be effectively implemented, and that has really driven the work of the Commission. And as the chair mentioned, we had the advisory note which set out recommendations on what the government should do. But even beyond that, the Commission also has a commissioner who oversees issues of mental health rights in the Gambia. A thematic committee on mental health rights, and the commissioner has really been driving our conversation about what to do. And it is through this that we initially, as chair mentioned, we had the advisory note. We had a 2-day convergence to validate this advisory note earlier last year, and during this we presented our findings, and this was thoroughly reviewed by stakeholders, government and non-government partners working within the mental health field. And following this, earlier this year, it was decided that we need to continue the conversation around mental health, because...
In the meantime, what did government do about your findings?
We've been pushing for the adoption of our recommendation. And
so you are pushing because nothing has been done yet?
Not much has been done. Okay. We are aware that there's a mental health bill. Unfortunately, this has stalled. So we have been really pushing government to ensure that the mental health bill is tabled before the National Assembly, as this will really enhance the protection of mental health rights in the Gambia. So in this regard, as we came up to World Mental Health Day this year, we decided that...
Which was October 10th.
Yeah. October 10th,
yeah.
Together with the Minister of Health, who are very much the leaders in this area, to see what can we do. And with support from, as you mentioned, UNICEF, WHO, and ActionAid, we'll be having this 2-day convergence whereby we will have stakeholders come together and discuss the issue of mental health in the Gambia, what is available and what needs to be done to enhance the protection of mental health in the Gambia. Because as Chair has mentioned, walking down the streets, you see what is going on in the country. And going to Tanka Tanka, you know that the service and the care there that is provided is not as up to the obligations of the government. And Chair has also mentioned the issue of what traditional healers are doing. And as part of the convergence, we'll also be having discussions with traditional healers, because we cannot talk about...
Especially from Buiba. We grew up hearing about Buiba. You know, this was where they took, you know, in those days we also called them lunatics, you know, to be chained to baobab trees, to be beaten. Well, it was actually... The beating was meant to beat the hell out of the demons, you know, that had, you know, possessed you. But Emmanuel, coming back to you, I mean, the whole point of transitioning from Kampama to Tanka Tanka was to provide, you know, better care for, you know, people with mental illnesses.
Yes.
How sad that, you know, when we talk about Tanka Tanka here, we are only lamenting. I mean, where did government start getting it wrong?
Yes. Well, as was rightly put, yes, we moved from Kampama to Tanka Tanka, more spacious place. It was hoped that at least those who have mental disorder who are there will have better treatment. But you go there, the facilities, the medicine, and the lack of, even the framework itself doesn't exist. How do you even send people to Tanka Tanka? Do we have the framework? Because Ma'am talked about the mental health bill, which we really hope would have come into effect, because it even looks at having an medical advisory board. How do you refer people to Tanka Tanka? From our understanding, sometimes people are actually forced and taken there. Family members. So the system itself.
So they just take them there.
Yeah. So the system is not working, Peter. And having this convergence, right, rather than just having the advisory note, talking to a particular stakeholders in silos, we believe that this will bring it out there. That is why it's really high powered.
So the Vice President is coming.
The Minister of Health is supposed to be
What
there.
message do you expect from the Vice President in particular?
Well, we expect
because, you know, usually, and that's my issue with keynote addresses, they're usually very bland.
Yes.
I mean, they are supposed to be, you know, I mean, calls to action and promises. So what do you expect the Vice President to promise?
Well, to start with, bringing him on board, we're even raising his awareness about issues of mental health. And being the number 2 in this country, he will go back to cabinet to tell them that this is something that we need to be serious about. Mental health issue is a serious problem in the Gambia. And this is why we're making sure that at the highest level, not just the Minister of Health, but at the highest level. In fact, I think the Vice Chairperson of the Commission, Madam Jane Abajom, was fighting hard to get the President of the Republic, because this is the value
Maybe the timing is the problem, because he's out in the province.
Yes, he's out in the province. But nonetheless, he will still get the message. The Vice President will tell him, these are the issues and we need to fix it. Because we need to fix it. This is a big problem. So raising awareness, Peter, is one of them. In the process, we will look at the connection between mental health and human rights. You see, the problem with mental health, it also affects other rights. You discriminating against them. There is stigma surrounding it. There's issues of dignity. There's issues of not even a standard of living, care. So it's connected to other rights. Once you violate their rights, you are also violating other rights. But also, identifying the challenges. Let's see, what are the real challenges? We know we do not have a proper law, legal framework. And how do we go about it? This is important. That's why we have all these experts who will be there. Even traditional leaders will be there. This issue of in drugs is a big problem, Peter. Our young, some are either on the highway going to the Mediterranean or they are taking drugs.
Kololi Tavan.
Yeah. And is this what we're going to have in the next 5-10 years? These future leaders in the country, we need to talk about. But also promoting societal tolerance. A lot of people are, there's this stigma. And people will have people who are mentally ill in their homes, they chain them. They hide them and they lock them. So these are, let us talk. We are not talking, we're hiding it under the carpet. And also, advocate for the development of policies and laws. This is what we need to do. So these are all the. So we will come out with a very strong, because this is a big engagement. That's why it's 2 days with all the stakeholders involved.
Good luck with it. Earlier on, you heard me talk about the Constitution of the Gambia Promulgation Bill 2024.
Yes.
And NHRC is at the center of trying to get the country a new constitution.
Yeah.
Now we have these two drafts that, very often people like to compare. 2020, which was rejected in Parliament, the 2024, which is now in front of the Parliament, and a lot of people fear that if this one is passed, then the Gambia, post Yaya Jammeh would even be worse, because a lot of people are saying this is worse than the 1997 constitution. Again, what's the...
So quickly, before I hand over, I don't want to monopolize this.
Yeah.
Peter, constitutional, it is what the government, the coalition government, promised us. As part of their transitional justice package, we will have a new constitution. And the reason was valid. We had a 1997 constitution that was doctored 52 times. There were gaps. It didn't have presidential term limit. So they set up the CRC, constitutional. They came up...
Well, after changing the constitution first themselves. So
well,
that they could
some provisions.
So that they can make appointments. They also contributed to...
Yes, Peter, that was done. That was done. But then again, they still set up the Constitutional Review Commission. They went to town, inside, outside the country, consultation. They gave us a draft, 2020. Of course, like all constitutions, people will, there's the yeas and the no's. It's never 100%.
No.
But by and large, a lot of people felt that, again, we would have that constitution. It was thrown out. It was thrown out very quickly by the National Assembly. But the government still said, okay, we will still have a new constitution.
Under pressure from the people.
Under pressure from development partners.
Exactly.
Anyway, the constitution was lost. That 2020 draft was lost until recently when it was gazetted and renamed the 2024 draft. And of course, as you know, it has... People have. I've just listened to your
Gambia
participants earlier. It has. People have done a comparative analysis of the two, and it has polarized Gambians. It has. Some are saying political parties, even if a comma is changed, we will not. Others are saying put. So what we said as an institution again, human rights constitution also is a human rights issue. We said, listen. Why don't we, this country is polarized. Let us have a serious convergence. Let's bring everybody, rather than this having a position papers, let's come together in one big forum and let us listen to each other, and we will develop a communique and tell the government, this is what the Gambian people are saying, not only the government, but National Assembly. The last time they threw it, and the threshold is high. 3/3, about 39 out of the 58 must vote. That's where it died. But that's only the first side. And then you have even the referendum process, where you must have 75% of 60% of those. Anyway, it's complex. But I will stop there. But this is the objective of what we are doing. Rather than the NHRC just having a position paper like everybody, we said, okay, you know what? We know we are polarized. Let's talk. Constitutional making involves all of us, Ma'am Deban.
Time is not on our side. Ma'am Deban, actually that was a long prelude to the next activity that you're going to have on the 27th and 28th, I suppose. So tell us.
Be back.
Okay.
And I won't be with them.
Tell us more about that.
I think the chair has again perfectly captured it, but really, I think the NHRC, as he mentioned, the government said we will have a new constitution which captures the aspirations of the Gambian people.
They're giving you one.
And I think what the NHRC is concerned about is the fact that there has been quite a great divergence. There is great polarization in in Gambian society. And as Chair mentioned, the Constitution, if adopted, or if a new Constitution is adopted, would greatly enhance protections of human rights and ensure also uphold good governance in the country. So really, we are driven by the need to ensure that the freedoms that we enjoy right now are better protected in a national document. So for this regard, we thought it necessary to have this convergence whereby everyone comes together, different people, whatever your views are, we come together, we sit, and then we see how best do we move forward to ensure, because one of the obligations of the government is to ensure that a constitution that is inclusive and participatory is adopted. And this also comes from the recommendations that the government accepted when it underwent the UPR, the Universal Periodic Review in 2019. So really, we are trying to remind the government of its obligations, of its promise to the Gambian people, but also ensuring that a constitution, eventually a constitution that reflects our aspirations as what we want as a nation moving forward is adopted. Because we cannot go back to what happened in 2020 when the constitution died a very sudden death. We want a constitution that reflects us. Yes, many are not happy with what is to be tabled, but at least we can have a discussion around this document to ensure that our constitution is never perfect, but at least most of our aspirations as Gambian people are captured, and a discussion is held around this that is inclusive and participatory as well.
So what's going to happen on the 27th and 28th, and who is invited?
Again, it's a cross-section of stakeholders, Gambian stakeholders that will come, government, non-government. We discussed, we will present the constitution, the draft 2024 constitution as it is, and provide also a framework as to the different provisions, what provisions have been taken out from the 2020 draft, and how do we move forward. As the chair mentioned, a communique will be developed, and this communique will be shared with the government and with the National Assembly to see how best do we move forward to ensure inclusivity and participatory in the process, that the issues that Gambians have concerning the constitution are adequately addressed, and then eventually the National Assembly members adopt this and we go towards referendum on this draft that is before them.
And how do you hope, Emmanuel, that the communique to ensue from these 2 days of talks will influence the National Assembly members when they come to vote on the promulgation bill?
That is the hope. We will carry it and tell them, hey, we have done another fantastic survey for you. Gambia is polarized, but this is what they are saying. And since you are the lawmakers, you can, I heard, was it Gambia Participate saying that they're lawmakers, they can actually debate and perhaps, do some amendments here and there. We are hoping, but we just felt that something needs to be done. We cannot just allow such a very important document just disappears like that because people are just being polarized. That is what we're doing. We're bringing them together.
Why do you feel a need to do this survey? I mean, do you feel that National Assembly members actually do go back to their own people and ask them how they feel about issues? I can speak for myself. My National Assembly member hasn't even sought my thoughts on this constitution.
Yeah.
Do you think they go back to their people to say, what do you feel about this document, that is about your life?
Well, I'm not sure whether they're doing that. I hope they're doing that. Maybe they were consulting many, they just didn't get back to you. They get to you.
I haven't been consulted at all.
But then again,
or maybe I share my views on the radio.
On the radio, so they know already. But that it also tells you why this kind of convergence is important. Because when you bring everybody together, civil society, government, the good, the bad, and the ugly, if I may use that statement. And then from there we said, okay, during this big convergence, this is what the people are saying. We just hope that this will carry weight. This is what we're trying to do. But we just felt that as an institution, having the advisory mandate, we can't just sit or just take sides, but let's bring people together, create this medium, and that's what we're doing, Peter.
Emmanuel, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Ma'am Deban, thanks for coming. Speaking of rights, you've just violated the rights of Alzama listeners by taking 5 minutes of their time away from them. You've been listening to Coffee Time with Peter Gomez. Tomorrow, we will have more time together, and one of my guests, I'll have several, will be the National Assembly member for Fonyi Kansala, the Honorable Almame Jiba, paying us a visit for the very first time. Thank you for listening.